We are very excited to welcome to Just Dance a professional dancer, choreographer, director, filmmaker, and teacher, Galen Hooks. Galen has worked with over 70 artists, including people like Rihanna, Janet Jackson, Justin Bieber, Camila Cabello, Usher. The list goes on. And some of Galen's career highlights include working on the hit TV, or I should say Broadway show, Dreamgirls, and also performing at the Academy Awards. Galen, welcome to the show.
Hello.
By the way,
Thanks for having me.
you're welcome. And that was the abridged version because your resume is as long as my arm. It's amazing. So congratulations.
It's nothing compared to Tina. I am like so honored to be here. So
Oh,
thank you
please.
for having me.
We are so honored. I am so excited. I don't even know how long it's been since I've actually seen you in person.
A long time, a long time. But I think about you often.
Likewise. And I am so excited for the listeners to learn about you because you're like my idol. You are nonstop. And seriously, I just have to say this off the top. Like, no, you know what? I'm going to say it later. But because I want to get to, at the beginning, we like to tell the listeners like what your path was, right? Because we're all so different, right? All the choreographers have come in a different way through a different type of path. And I think that you and I probably both started very, very young. So just kind of give us a glimpse of like how you started, when you started, and when do you remember it kind of clicking like, oh, I kind of might want to do this for a living?
Yeah, I think like the older I get, the more grateful I am to have had the early beginnings, because so many people don't have that nowadays. So I started when I was 3. My sister was in classes at a standard dance studio. I grew up in around LA, and it's about an hour outside of LA, called Walnut, so a very small town still, but LA adjacent. And so I took, it's a standard competition dance studio. So I took jazz, tap, and ballet. Um, and there was no hip hop yet. Like tennis shoes weren't in the dance studio. It was like jazz boots, not even jazz shoes. So I had a very like standard jazz tap ballet background and did competition and was like very, very shy. I was not like a performer or anything. And then I was on Star Search, the original Ed McMahon Star Search, when I was 7. And I was in a group of 5, including my sister, and we won the whole thing. And I got an agent at that time. I started working. My mom, thank the Lord, was like very invested in helping develop what she saw in my sister and I. So I was working in LA from a very young age, basically from the time I was 7. And my like training wise, it turned into going to Edge when I was 9 or 10 and going to Moral Landis, not even Millennium yet.
Wow.
Millennium used to be called Moral Landis, and going to Debbie Reynolds, and just kind of like a very, very fortunate to go to adult LA studios while I was a kid still. And then I joined Marguerite Derrick's and Michael Rooney's teen company. They had a big audition for a teen company, and I think everyone got in. Like I was not very good, um, but I was maybe like 12 or 13. Um, and there was a class that I distinctly remember of Marguerite's. I remember the combo and everything. And I just all of a sudden had a point of view. You know, when you're a kid and you're taking classes and it's competition and they're never like, what's your thought about this? It's like you're just doing your second turn combos and
You're
yeah. So I just like had a thought, I had an opinion. I just felt something clicked in the sense that I wasn't just being the robot doing what was given to me. And Marguerite noticed it. She like said something. And so that was a big turning point. And then when I started taking acting classes, like that was such a big, and I know you took acting classes, Tina, so I don't know if this was a similar experience for you, but like that really changed my dancing a lot. So there was like a decision, there wasn't ever a decision where I went, I want to do this professionally, because very fortunately I was doing it from the time I was a kid. But what I realized as an adult is there's so many people who also were kids doing it with me that either said, I don't like this, or like were dozens of times along the way where I could have said, I quit, I don't like this. So it was a
right.
constant decision to continue doing it. And those kinds of like artistic moments, I think, are what kept me going, of going like, oh wait, no, I actually feel this way about this movement. So it's a bit of a unique path. I recognize I was very fortunate in the path, but I was growing up dancing around dancers, seeing people like you as a child, and that's invaluable to have seen, especially female role models in class just on the daily at Edge and at Moral Landis and all these places. That
Right.
like I'm so grateful for that in this day and age when I think that's just so much more rare. So that's a loose kind of overview of training wise, what my path was.
That's amazing. I had no idea. I knew you started young, but like it just blows my mind that you were at Edge and all of these places at such a young age. Um, and that you loved it. Like I just remember I liked it. Like it was just I mean, I was doing it since 2 or 3, and it was just kind of you don't think about whether you like it or not. It's like it's Tuesday, I have dance class, right? Or it's
Yeah, yeah,
Thursday,
yeah.
softball, whatever. Um, but I just find that like it explains a lot now because I was thinking I'm like you know what when I was thinking that you were going to get ready to come on the show I'm like you are like Allison Falk to me. It's like you guys are always staying the same age. Like it's like you just because you started so young. Now I get it. Like she started really young too. But I didn't realize you started at such a like a powerhouse like Michael Rooney and Marguerite. Are you kidding me? Like I couldn't do their choreography as an adult. Like literally, I think Marguerite
Yes.
wanted to hire me, like, and she would give me so many chances, and I'm just like, after a while, just became kind of a not a joke, but a playful, like, I know I'm not getting this job, but I'm gonna work my ass off in this class because her stuff is so hard and so technical. But then that also really makes a lot of sense with your choreography now because I feel like your choreography is very unique. And what I was going to say earlier that I say for right now is like I don't like a lot of stuff, period, right? That's just me. Um doesn't mean that there's bad people out there or bad choreography, but there's just not a lot that inspires me. And when I was kind of going through all your materials this week, I was like, you are one of the very few who, if the roles were reversed, I would want to dance for you. I would want to do like your choreography is very inspirational. I swear to God. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, it's so good, Gail. I mean, you like if people don't know, they need to go. We're gonna give them all the information, but they need to go check out your website. They need to check out everything that you have been doing because you're kind of like all over the place as far as your creativity. And I mean that in a good way. Like, you got your night of dance, we have to talk about that 10-minute choreography challenge because that is brilliant. So brave of you. I'm like, I'm not doing that. But I want to talk about, so it does it. And I'm very, very, being very, very honest. Like, there's a very, very few choreographers whose class I would want to be in and take. And like, again, I thought, you know what? If she was older than me, I would be trying to go to your class constantly.
I have, so let me interject because I don't know when I'll ever we don't see each other often, so I've got to say a lot. I, I like, I'm not, I'm not being, I know you get this all the time, but I can't overstate like how much I respect and appreciate you and your work and what you've done. And it sounds like a platitude because everybody says it, but I don't I want to receive what you're saying, but I also because I don't want to be rude, but I'm just kind of like it's not what I'm doing is nothing really compared to what you've done. And I've um a lot was asked of me as a kid. So when you talk about like Alison Falk, it's like I've known her since I was a child as well. And I think back in the day, so much more was asked of kid students. Like we were treated like adults, and Marguerite didn't dumb down her choreography for us. In fact, she was like, like it was a lot of really tough training. And I only mention that because like I really have a reverence and respect and admiration for everybody that came before me, and I really don't take lightly what you're saying. It's just I don't really know how to word it. Like I'm not like in a bubble. Um uh ah, everybody I'm an what's the word I'm looking for? I'm a result of the people that came before me, and a lot of that is Like when I watch your work, I'm not just watching it going, oh, I like that. It's like there's just such a reverence. It's so important. And I can't be creative and do what I do without examples of what you do. And so I hope this is making sense, that like it's not in a bubble that all of a sudden a person can just be creative. I studied and appreciated and absorbed everything that you have laid out. And while stylistically I might be doing a random musical theater number, everything that I've learned from watching still is ingrained in me. So I appreciate what you're saying, but I just want to like make sure that in this really crappy way, I'm articulating that it's a result of being very, very fortunate from the time I was a child to absorb and really be able to soak in everything that I saw. And so you influenced what I do in such a heavy way. That was a random blurb.
No, but I think, you mentioned earlier that you were you were amongst other kids that didn't pursue it. And, I think there are a lot of dancers who take so many things for granted, especially today, that they don't do the work, they don't do the study, they just do a quick TikTok, or they go, oh, that's really cute, or, and that's why I'll just jump to the 10-minute choreography challenge. Like, that's the difference. Like, if people don't know what we're talking about, I do want you, let's talk about that. Tell us what that is first.
So I love choreography. I'll just say that as the top line, because some people are like, no, you got to be able to session, you got to be able to improv, or you got to be able to battle. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Choreography for me is where it's at. I love learning a routine. That's what I miss most about working as a dancer. I don't miss performing. I miss learning choreography and having to perfect it quickly. So for me, I get to scratch my itch, not by performing. I scratch my itch by learning routines as fast as I can, because that's where I get a lot of buzz out of dance. So
Okay.
I'll learn a routine in as close to under 10 minutes as possible. And it's usually at least eight counts or so. And it just keeps my brain going, and it's a really good challenge. And I say this, so I've posted kind of side by sides of, here's the routine I'm learning, and here's me learning it in 9 minutes, 48 seconds or something. And that's where it's at the 9 minutes, 48. I'm not like, let me rehearse it more to get it.
Right.
And but the thing that I really try to impress upon people, because I do it as a challenge to have other people go, how much can you learn in 10 minutes? And it should improve the more you do it, because retaining choreography is a muscle. But it's one thing to learn it, and it's another to be clean. So the
Right.
side by side is like, put yourself next to the video you learned it from to see if you're actually doing it properly. Because, very few dancers are clean these days. So it's a two-parter. It's like, how quickly can you learn it, and how much are you getting, not just the cleanliness lines wise, but the feel and the vibe of what the choreographer is trying to impart.
Right.
So if anybody at home wants to try it, you could literally pull up any routine on YouTube, the harder the better, or on Instagram, and learn it off of the video as fast as you can. I really did. I started doing that during COVID. So I think if now I tried to do it, I'd rather have someone teach me in person. But if you're at home and you don't have a lot of resources, you can just pull up a routine off of a video and do it.